appeared on the BBC Ancestry show, Who Do You Think You Are? And she learned some shocking family history, including how her mother was arrested and jailed when she was only 12 for shoplifting with her own mother. This was after her father had left them. Take a look.
Being concerned together in stealing 2 pairs of stockings and other articles valued at 8 shillings and 4 pence. They pleaded guilty. Unbelievable. Wow. Must have been pretty desperate to do that. When they were stopped, the girl exclaimed, "I will take all the blame if you will let Mummy go." Oh my God. That is just heartbreaking.
Oh. Wow. So the question is, have you ever found out something about your parents that changed the way you view them?
Oh, this show totally changed the way I felt about my heritage, where I came from. And I mean, I knew I was half Irish, but I knew nothing about my mother's family history. And my mother's father left them, and it was in the 20s. He left. He never came back after he came back after the First World War, stayed around a bit, then disappeared totally. And that incident with my mother, she was with her mother, they were shopping, and it was her mother that was taking the stuff. And that's when my mother said, "It was me, not Mummy, let her go and take me." And what happened was, it happened on a Saturday, so they were detained in jail until the Monday. And the Monday, when they saw the judge let my mum go, and then just, took it out on the real person, my grandmother. But I never knew any of this. I never knew that my mum's dad disappeared, and I knew that my mum's first husband divorced her, after a couple of years. I knew that my dad was, never a good husband to her. Monetarily he was, but as far as emotionally and being honest with her, he never was. He had a mistress for the last 30 years of his life, and every man in her life had left her. And her mother really hadn't brought her up. Her grandmother brought her up, because my grandmother was in entertainment. She was a dancer, so she was always working. So my mother's grandmother brought her up. And so she never had that male figure. And so I understand why she was the way she was with me. And she adored my brother, and I think it was that male thing that and he adored her. They had that one-to-one.
Did you learn anything in this show, in this episode, that made you change your feelings?
Do you know what? All of my mother's side of the family, my great-great-grandmother, they were all working in actually in America. My great-great-grandmother was American. She was born here. She worked in the cotton mills. They were all in poorhouses, what do you call it?
Like working...
When you have...
Where you're assisted?
No. When you live in a poorhouse, they, my great-great-grandmother lost 5 children. They all died. And then she died, and the one child that was left, that she had at age 12, went back to England. She was born in America, but went back to England.
There was so much, well, during that time, there was so much of that where people came over and they left their families. I found out, right before my father passed away, my father was always portrayed as this really hard man and tough and everything else. His father died when he was 4 weeks old. And so